Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Hard work. Work. There you go.
Forward.
Hard work. Hard work. Hard work.
Fall in.
Hey, what's going on? Good morning, good morning, good morning. How y'all doing? Y'all know what it is. It's me, your man Trey, and you're rocking with your favorite vets on the Nets First Formation Morning Sports Talk. So come on and fall in as we be talking about what's been popping, happening, crackling, and all that stuff over in reference to sports over the last couple of days. So, or the last week. So we last spoke and engaged was just before the women's WNBA draft, the men's first round of the play-in. Of course, now today we'll have the rest of it determining who's going to be the 8th seeds and go on to play the number 1 seeds. And it's kind of been up since then. We're around the corner from. Let me make sure I know the dates, but I want to make sure I got the right times. We're just around the corner from next weekend, the NBA draft. What's good, Courtney? Glad to have information with his brother. Thank you. We're just around the corner from the NFL draft. That's getting ready to go down. We'll see how it ends up. Who's going to get their favorite? Whose favorite teams are going to get their player that they need? Who's going to surprise? All that. So a lot, plenty to talk about in our time frame. So first and foremost, of course, I'd like to shout out all the women, the 144 women now that will be a part of the WNBA going forth for this 2024-25 season. I look forward to viewing. I usually view the WNBA games as usual, but this time I've made a concerted effort. I went out and purchased the subscription package so that way I could view every game. It also continues to give opportunity to give them the viewership. I like a lot of people engage and go into the discussions about why the equal pay isn't enough or why there's not enough pay. I know if you look at the fact of Caitlin Clark, who was the number 1 pick overall this past Monday, makes just over $300,000 a year in her contract. I think it's over 300,000. All right, I stand corrected. I think her first contract, the contract in itself is going to be over $300,000. When you take someone that, if you take someone such as Victor Wembanyama, his first contract was more than that, or something like that. I'm sorry if I'm correct, but basically, in state is the men make more than the women in state. Of course, some of that goes in with the viewership. Butts and seats, what they're doing, as we all know, the reason some this money hike in these contracts and in the CBAs and all that type of stuff comes from the media rights that are obtained by these organizations, because they feel like the media rights is going to these players or these leagues are going to bring in a high revenue of viewership that's going to hype up what the commercials and all the commercials that can be utilized and what they can charge for spots and all that type of stuff. So as a whole conglomerate of things that played a part. So like I said, I went myself and I purchased the subscription package. It's only like $35. Well, it's less than $40 for the year. So think about the things what you do with $40 in the process, but to help out if you know, that's one of my ways to helping out, of course. What's going on, my brother? What's going on this morning, Mr. People's Coach?
This is all right, man. What's up with it?
Oh no, that's just before getting in, we're just talking about the WNBA and some of the things, and I went ahead and purchased the package yesterday so I could view and check some things out.
I'm sick of hearing about it. What you was just talking about?
The
Difference
package.
in the difference in the pay between the men and women. I'm tired of hearing about it because it's one of those things where I just looked that stuff up. 45 million is, well, 66 million now is what the Golden State Warriors organization is paying for a WNBA team. You know what I'm saying? For one of those expansion teams, right? 56 million. How much is an NBA team worth? We just saw the Clippers not long ago sell for what, 2 billion.
That
I mean,
started the fight.
that's the difference. The difference is right there, people. That's the until the WNBA get up there and start making that kind of money, you can't pay the players that kind of money. Too many people to feed of what they make. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Everybody got to get paid.
And so, like I said, so for me, as a while I was going through school, the WNBA was like the prime subject for me in a lot of cases. Like I've did SWOT analysis on the WNBA. I've done wrote papers and stuff about the WNBA, and then of course the things in which I thought would be conducive to bring in like created campaigns and stuff as far as the WNBA. Like I dove into the WNBA. It just happened that it was like based on the assignments and things I had to do, it fit the bill. So, like you said, and it's just one of those things. And what we have to always keep in terms is like the WNBA has been around over 20 years, right? True enough. But in every case, things lose their gumption, start to lose out, and then there's a reemergence. And I think now is the time of reemergence. Now, ideally, what I would think is the time of reemergence that is coming up is a time in which we're in a different place than we were 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago, in generalization of technology, different ways to view. It's so many different things, different streams that is probably going to be different this time around. So with an insert of new talent and talent that is engaging and people, saying, that are going to probably be tuning in, the empowerment of, saying, the sisters, our sisters out
Man,
there,
go
with
ahead.
that
All right,
being
go
women.
ahead. Sid. Go ahead and see it. Caitlin Clark about to make y'all a bunch of money.
No, not Caitlyn.
Yeah,
It's not just Caitlyn.
it's just Caitlin. Trust me. People. Everybody can keep denying all you want. Did you see the viewership for the first part of the draft? Did you see that? 3.5 million viewers. Diana Taurasi had the record the last time, man, where it was 600,000. That's 5 times more, Trey. 5 times more. She about to increase your stuff at least 5 times more. Pay attention. Like, you gotta pay attention. It's Caitlin Clark. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. But it's Caitlin Clark, man. I'm telling you, she about to Mike Jordan. She about to do for the WNBA what Mike Jordan did for the NBA. And we know what he did.
So it wasn't Mike that did it for the NBA. It was Magic and Larry Bird that
Oh
did it
stop.
for
Oh
the NBA.
stop. Stop. They
It
made it
wasn't
a black and white. They made it a black and white thing. That's what they made it. Jordan brought the people together. Jordan had black and white people together in the arenas, rocking, sold out seats. The NBA was on tape delay before Michael Jordan, man. It was on tape delay. No one cared.
no one, no one came to see you, Otis.
No one cared.
See you, Otis.
I mean, I'm just saying, like I'm just saying, Michael Jordan sold out, man. You're talking about sold out arenas. They started building better arenas. You know what I'm saying? They got rid of all the old arenas once this dude came around, especially that 90 clip. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying. There's nothing wrong with saying that either. What Magic and Bird did
They
was
saved the
great.
NBA.
They saved it. Jordan made it a global brand, man. Like everybody. I bet you they had that Gatorade commercial in Chinese. Want to be like Mike? I bet you it was in Chinese. I bet you they was playing it in China. You know, I mean, I'm just saying. Like that's what Caitlin's about to do, man, and nothing wrong with that. Hey, WNBA, ride that wave,
So,
ride that wave.
so I would say this. Maybe Caitlyn is saving the WNBA, right? Because it's been dwindling a long time. I think for the most part that the Las Vegas Aces started to when they started their franchise and they started to become dominant, because you got to look at it. And back in the day, before it was the Sparks, the Comets, and then it went from the Sparks to the Comets to the Lynx and the Liberty. And then after the Lynx and the Liberty, you have a slight emergence. It started to be onesies and twosies. Like at one point, the Fever, who is now the number one, who got the number one pick. At one point, they were a team that was sought after, like looked at. It kind of has like moved around and bounced around. It went back and forth. Now you can say that it's a reemergence of the Ace. I mean, it's a reemergence of the Liberty, but the Aces are the ones that are out there. Chicago Sky has won the championship in the last. So it's been different things. So what I think it could be clearly said is that now with Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark for the Fever, and now they're dubbing it, of course, the game with Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso in Boston and Clark coming up. So I mean, maybe it's fair to say that I think that Caitlin might be the savior for the WNBA, but I think the viewership and everything is going to come because I mean, it's like marketing. Like I say, I always say I'm a marketer by trade. I mean, by degree and by trade, and you grab a hold of what you can in state, and that's what they're doing. Like everyone's riding the wave. It was like as a service member or as an NCO. If you have an NCO that is doing exceptionally well, he or she is doing what they need to do, how they need to do. When your NCOR or National Non-Commissioned Officer Evaluation report is your grade, is your resume, right? And so when you do well and your NCOR says, hey, ahead of peers, excellent rating and all that type of stuff, everyone is riding that train. Anyone that is in your NCO rating chain is going to probably any officer that might have you is going to ride that train because they help. If you were a non-commissioned officer of the year in any way, form, or fashion, you performed and became a part of the Sergeant Arden Murphy Club and all these things, that is an accomplishment. And it has set you apart from your peers. And so what's going to happen is everyone's going to ride that train. That's going to be on everyone's bullet. Had this person or had that person or had X amount of people. If you got X amount of people under your chain and your rating that has that is going to be. So, of course, that's what everyone's going to be doing. Of course, we see once Diana Taurasi start talking that talk and that rah-rah during the national championship, next you know, the next day it was coined. Caitlin Clark hadn't even been drafted yet, let alone and put it. But the expectation was she was going to play for the Fever were going to draft her. So they're set up and highlighting the game between the Phoenix Mercury and the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark ain't even been drafted yet. It's like still 2.5 weeks.
It's gonna be a good game.
So you'll say, so of course they jump on that and they push that. Ideally, because she's so close to home, she's probably going to they're probably going to sell out the arena for the most part because she's close to home and being from Iowa, Des Moines, and in the Indiana Fever being closer to home, which is ideal. Like regardless if they had anyone else to see anyone else, it made sense from a standpoint to sit up and draft her from a to put coins in their pocket, in which is probably going to do that a lot for the most part. But there's other people in which there's so many other storylines that can be produced from just this year alone. And there's going to be, and so we're going to see how it plays out. Camila Cardoso, who was the third pick to the Chicago Sky, is now linked up with her former rival. They played against each other their whole career coming up. Now her and Angel Reese are linked up, both playing in Chicago. So you have that that's another storyline. You have Cameron Brink, who was just who grew up down the coast, up the coast. Now she's a Los Angeles Spark. And saying her storyline with her godparents are the Currys, being Steph Curry and Seth Curry, her god brothers. So you have that. It's so many other storylines and other reasons. You have, in my opinion, Alyssa Pilley, who is not just playing, who is playing for a whole race at this point. You know what I'm saying? And being effective. So it's so many storylines. As she was drafted number 8 by the Minnesota Lynx. So there's so many different storylines that's going to be able to be played out in this, and which is going to be hopefully with the right people at the marketing and their campaigning is going to be able to play, and it's going to become more than just we can get away from just the whole Caitlin Clark thing. I mean, she's decorated, and that's nothing short of, we can't take that away from her. She's decorated, and we're going to see how it comes, because in-state, yes, she was a highlight, a standout.
Why is it different for Caitlin? Like, this is the kind of hype that LeBron brought.
Well, I was about to say that.
This is the kind of hype, and he never played. He hadn't even played a game in the NBA.
Marketing. They dubbed him the king.
You saw his Nike commercials. That's what I was saying. The King James commercials. Remember those? The first commercials. Those that's old enough to remember those, because a lot of his fans are younger. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, the whole LeBron phenomenon. It's just certain players. I use Mike as an example, but LeBron's another example of that polarizing figure coming out. Just dominating already. Like it hasn't even haven't even played a game to dominate in, but dominating the market, bringing the excitement to the game. I think it's good.
For the most part, and I don't dispute that. I think for the most part, there's every year there's a Caitlin Clark. Now, it may not be as polarizing, like you just said, the keyword polarizing. She may not. Every year there's a Caitlin Clark. Maybe not as polarizing, because now, of course, you got Hadagu, you got Juju, who was coming. Like every year there's going to be a Caitlin Clark to some degree. Now, how polarized they are is going to be determined. And like we talked about before, Caitlin Clark only emerged because Paige Beckers was injured. So you know what I'm saying? So Caitlin Clark's emergence was that, but before the conversation was Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark. Paige Beckers got injured, and then it was just Caitlin Clark, and Caitlin Clark continued to ascend. And then, of course, you had the Leah Bostons, you had the Cardosa, which ends up coming up later in a couple of those. But it was Paige Beckers, and then now and Caitlin Clark. And so with her injury, she moved forth, and Caitlin just continued to ascend. So you still have Paige Beckers, who's due to come out, I think, next year. And so it's so we got plenty of people in which is going to be looked at. It's like it's probably going to continue to produce and produce and produce and produce. So it's some out there.
I think it is. Big up to the WNBA for growing right before our eyes this time around. Like, I know you took a blow. A lot of teams dropped off. Some of the original teams dropped off, and now you got teams in the place. Remember, they had like the Miami Soul. Like, Miami had a team. They had like different teams. But they expanding in the next couple of years or whatever. I just saw that, but like I said, the Golden State Warriors getting one of them. But they're adding 2 more teams. I think they say by 2026 or something like that. 2 more teams added. So that'll be growth, and that'll be more more players in the league, more drafts. I look at it. I think you're absolutely right about the individuals that are coming. I think right now though, like, if you look at the rosters, these teams are stacked right now. So there's gonna be some good ball, because the bulk of the league is stacked with players. The players still got to go perform. So that's always key to remember. But so you think, is it too early to be talking Caitlin Clark Rookie of the Year like they was doing Wemby? Like, you know what I'm saying? Is it too early? Like, look at Wembyama is another one, man. All you heard about going into the end of last season into the off season of the NBA was this sensational. They was putting highlights on ESPN. This sensational 7'5", 7'6", however tall he is. Kid out of France, man. So, hey.
And they continue to produce people. So yeah, so definitely, what I'm saying, as one of those things. So before we move on, it's one other thing which
I want to ask you something. Like, have you heard the little rumors swirling that they were thinking about pitching around the idea of the letting the women college players do one and done to get into the WNBA draft. Um, and a lot of people are opposed to that, right?
So heck, I would be opposed to it too, in a sense. But I mean, of course, everyone wants to have an opportunity to be able to make their own decisions. But of course, yes, I've heard about it in reference to it, and I don't agree with it from an aspect to a degree. But like I said, you should be able to make your own decisions. But for the type of money in which they make, I don't think it's worth it to give up where they're at already. Because already, if they're in the institution, then they're doing something that's going to benefit them long run potentially, because they always get that piece of paper. The value of that piece of paper being the degree. It's just so happened that they're student athletes and they have the ability to make a lane for themselves outside of that degree, right? And that becomes secondary. So, but if you sit up and start doing that, then anyone in which they believe they have some type of skill are going to be swallowed up, and now they're going to be people leaving school for no reason to go into the league, and there's not enough teams in doing that, right? There's not enough teams to be able to forecast that. At least with the current model, it allows a player to grow, and you get a chance to see more and more of that player. Because let's take in consideration a school like South Carolina, right? And they have a plethora of McDonald All-Americans, but all those All-Americans ain't getting no burn. So if they're allowed to go a one and done, then what sits up and starts to happen is, if they felt like someone who didn't get any burn felt like I was a McDonald's All-American, I'm just gonna go ahead and take my chances and declare for the WNBA draft. Now they're being picked up on what they did or for their name and who they were, but they haven't did anything in the league in collegiately yet, and now they're potentially going, and now it's a 50-50 playing specifically for themselves as opposed to what takes. So I just think it starts to put anything too much in, and there's not enough teams currently. With, like you said, there's currently 12 teams, possibility of 2 more teams being added as an expansion. That puts it at 14 teams. Now you got 168 players in the league that are eligible to be in the league, right? And unless the WNBA starts a G League type league as well, in which we're talking about the NBA because they're all subsidiaries of the NBA. It's not. I don't think it's within a good model currently. So I think they should hold back from it, but it needs more before they can sit up and do that.
I think just for me, it's not. I don't think there's enough money in that game for you to want to even make that decision. When name, image, and likeness is a thing right now, I think college would be the way to go. You can make more money in college.
NIL, yeah, you can make if you're a good player, you can make enough money in NILs. I mean, we sit here and talk about scoffing at 100,000 a year, where we're not making 100,000 a year. But
I'm not scoffing at 100. I so miss it. I'm just gonna put that out there. I so miss it. I'm not scoffing at it.
So it's something to say like that, but I mean, and that's why I say, like, if you're offered it, like if you offer a freshman, any freshman, whether it's man or women, if you offer them an opportunity to go and get the minimum, they're probably going to go after it, and it's a carrot. It's dangling a carrot in front of somebody. So it's like one of those doing that. I just don't agree with it, because some people are, especially if their family is in need of financially, or those monies are going to help them. They're probably going to go after it. And I just don't agree with that. I think it's good that they keep it the way it is currently, even for the men's game, or at least, saying there's a sweet spot, 2 years maybe as opposed to 3. I mean, it's just to keep it like to do that, because the one and dones. I mean, that's how the NBA G League got the Team Ignite for players that wasn't looking to go to college to play that 1 year, and they didn't want them overseas. That was how they got the G League Ignite. But of course, that is getting disbanded because I think it wasn't working out in state.
It's not, man. You're not right. I think we've seen a couple come out of here, but you ain't really putting those serious ballers on like that to where you can justify, sustaining it. Like, get rid of that.
They can put an expansion team, but now they don't need it. I think all the NBA franchises have organizations.
I personally think now college is more enticing. So I think those options are pretty much going to go away. I think the players themselves are going to take them options away anyway, because now that you can get money in college, it makes the most sense.
Yeah, no read for the G League, the Ignite. So real quick before we go on, and not to bring a somber point, but the conversation has came up, and again, I know it's marketing, I know it's franchising and bringing and pushing the line when it comes to getting this money. But what is your take? What is your take on the fact that Caitlin Clark has acquired a shoe deal through Nike before A'ja Wilson?
I think it says where it's at, where the market, like the marketing. I just told you, like I just told you what was about to happen. Like, I'm surprised Asia don't. I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised.
That part.
I did not know that. But
and think about it, not just Nike, like it's other shoe places. Like no one has tapped into the A'ja Wilson market.
Not even what's that? The Steph Curry, Under Armour or whatever. The
Under Armour, Puma, Nike, like
Reebok trying to
reemerge. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hell, Dwayne Wade and Klay Thompson got overseas deals. Like, no one has tapped into the Asia market, A'ja Wilson market. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Who's that agent? I'm available. I'm available.
A'ja Wilson. So, but of course, like A'ja in her own mentioning, A'ja stated, in which is a key term, what she said: a delay does not mean denial. A delayed response does not mean denial. The denied response. I was like, that's what's up. You know what I'm saying? That's the ideal way to go about it. Just because she ain't got it now don't mean she's not going to get it. I'm sure she's going to get it. I'm sure some of that those shoes companies we just discussing are probably coming up and sit up and figure out like what can we pitch her or what can we do to get A'ja Wilson into the fold, or Jordan Brand, somebody.
Yeah, I'm surprised, man. Even Jordan.
Yeah, and they currently is 3 in the Nike for the women's basketball shoe. Only 3 women are on their roster for basketball. Now, Caitlin Clark, Sabrina Ionescu, and Stewart.
Yeah. They're like a common theme with that. Move on. Next subject.
Oh, goodness. 3 of these things are... Some of these things are kind of... One of these things is doing its own thing. Now it's
right. Yeah, Mikey, what you doing? Diversity. Diversity in that market might be an idea. While we just here right now, while we switching up, look, so I know that at some point we're gonna talk NBA playoffs.
Yes.
But I just want to throw out there, ain't it getting redundant? Year after year, man. I know there's gonna be injuries and stuff, man, but come on, man. What a Zion the other night, man. Wow. He was about to do them boys too. I wanted to say that to you, Laker fan. He was about to do y'all, and LeBron was gonna let him do y'all because they didn't want the smoke with the Nuggets. They just had to after Zion went out. Now you got to win the game. You know what I'm saying? Now you have to win because he was about to do them, man. Like, well, he had 40 when he went out the game. He was. I mean, give it to Zion. It's unfortunate that he can't stay healthy enough that we can see the full finished product, man. Like, whew, 'cause he was about to say, "Get out the way, King James." Did you see that? Did you see that game? Did you see any of that game?
I seen the back part of it, in which I agree with you. I will say this: potentially, I won't dispute what you're saying. In Zion was probably the Pelicans could have possibly won that game if Zion had stayed in those last 3 minutes. I won't dispute that. I'll give you that. It's a great possibility that would have happened, in which it didn't. Now we're probably going to see it, but I think we probably could have a different conversation this morning had Zion stayed. No different than we probably would have been having a different conversation had Jimmy Butler stayed in his game, in their game, in which both, in my opinion, currently both teams are going to probably end up exiting.
Hey, I just want to throw this out there for people, man. Look, tell you how good Jimmy Butler is. The man was shooting 5 for 18, and they was in that game. They was about to do some spectacular things in that game, and he was shooting 5 for 18. Like, yeah, he shot 5 for 18 in that game. So yeah, the injury, and he was still, man. I don't know. Some of these players are terrific at what they do, so the numbers don't matter, right? Like, and he definitely one of them. But I will say I agree with you on that too. Like I agree with you on that too. It's a wrap for both of them tonight. It's a done deal.
So as we discussing and talk about, tonight the WNBA's play-in continues. As now what's going to go on is the New Orleans Pelicans will face off against the Sacramento Kings, as the Kings and the Pelicans lost their first round playoff games, play-in games. The Pelicans versus the Los Angeles Lakers, who will go on to play the 7th-seeded Denver Nuggets on Saturday, and then the 76ers were able to take care of business versus the Miami Heat, who will go on to play, who the 76ers will go on to play the second seeded New York Knicks in their first round of the playoffs. Putting those two teams, the Sacramento Kings and the New Orleans Pelicans, against one another, as the Kings were able to knock off Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors over in their game. And now Golden State goes ahead and sits and have gone fishing, as TNT's inside the NBA the squad has said. On the opposite side of the spectrum, the excuse me, the Atlanta Hawks were taken out by the Chicago Bulls in that round, in which now the Bulls will play the winner, i.e. the Miami Heat, for the AC, which will go on to play against Boston in the East. And in the West, we have, as I said before, the Pelicans playing the Sacramento Kings, who will go with the winner going on to play the number one seeded Oklahoma City Thunder. So when you look at it, like I said, we kind of just cleared it up already. Chances are both of those initial 7 teams in the 7th seed play game are probably going to meet their demise. I'm going to go ahead and go home, especially both of those teams are without their top player, Jimmy Butler for Miami, which we had high hopes for. At least I know I did. I just knew Miami was going to get in. It was going to cause a problem.
I knew they was going to get in and beat Boston.
Yeah, even if it was going to beat Boston, or it was going to beat New York. One of the two. They was going to beat one of the two. I had Miami in the second round in the playoffs, but it's not going to happen, of course, without Jimmy Butler. It'll be interesting to see what happens, but I just don't think they're going to have enough. I think Chicago goes ahead and moves on, and they will end up being routed by Boston 4-1, maybe 4-2. And then, of course, on the East, it's a little bit different, though. Sacramento, without Zion, I don't foresee New Orleans winning, but it's a possibility. But it's going to be a gonna be hard.
Ingram not 100%. He was on the bench.
Yeah,
Him and McCollum was on the bench in the fourth quarter. I was like, wow. Willie Green just said, "Hey, I'm going with the ones that's playing ball right now." And set the dudes down that these are veteran dudes that they normally the Pelicans been leaning on, right? On the bench. What you think about you know going down the stretch of the game? In the stretch of the game,
your best players.
two of your best players are on the bench. What you think about that?
It's saying something. Even one, he was conceding and just going ahead and saving them to go ahead to live the fight the next day, or he, like you said, the confidence was lost for that day, in which he thought they wasn't holding up, and wasn't doing holding up their end, and it was the other ones were scratching, clawing, and to get out of that game victorious. So I mean, hopefully, was expected. They're probably going to come back with a conversation. Of the two, I think the New Orleans Pelicans have the best chance of beating the other without the star, but it's going to be hard. Sabonis, Keegan, Murray,
I like
Sabonis,
Murray.
Fox,
Man,
like
Keegan
it's going
Murray.
to, you know what I'm saying? Barnes, like they have players, and we'll see
Even
how.
without Monk, the Kings. I think the Kings still got a little something. They showed that to Golden State. Um, the question for Golden State, man, I posted it after the game. Clay, man, what's up, man? You can't be coming with offers, man. You can't be coming with. I mean, is it a wrap for Clay, man? Like like has his skills like? So I asked that question, and somebody responded to the post and said, he'll go somewhere and he'll be a good catch and shoot guy, right? And I'm like, I don't know. He was catching and shooting. Whether he just catching and shooting in his last game and went over? I mean, I don't know. I mean, and he been doing that on a regular in big games. It's really been showing up. Um, I don't want to put this on Draymond. They gonna try to put it, like I've heard people trying to put it on Draymond already, saying that he cost them. That's why they was in the play-in. No, they was in the play-in because they was a play-in team. If you saw that team, and the sad part is, Trey, about that team, even about the Warriors, and then when you look at on the other side, um, the Heat, the two things that they got in common is um, they role players have been having terrific years. Their young players have had, you know what I'm saying? They raised their level of play, and it's still not good enough. And it's still 18. It's still, you know what I'm saying? 9, 10. What the Warriors were 10. Kaminga having his best season. You know what I'm saying? Podolski came out of nowhere. Like these different players are playing, and it's worth nothing on those teams when you look at it because they're still at the bottom. They're at the bottom. Like how do you explain that? Like Jaquez come out of nowhere can ball, man. Ball for them, putting up good numbers. Um, you know, what's his name? Not Hero, but the other. Man, I just watched him the other night. Um, but he raised his game um to another
Jaquez,
level. No, we just Jaquez. He came in, he did his thing, but thing I forgot the
Duncan
other
Robinson, or not Robinson,
Duncan Robinson.
the other one,
The other young man,
Caleb.
the other young man, he was balling, man. Um, but my point being is that they having all these terrific seasons. I mean, a terrific season. These younger players on these squads, and the teams are still at the bottom. It's like, hey, you said you put up career numbers, and your team at the bottom. I I, I mean, it's hard to explain that as far as when you see other teams. I just think Miami, you got to do something to stay out of it. I mean, you're too good of a team to be in the play-in every year. You know what I mean? The Warriors, they just got to retool, and I mean, they got to. They don't keep in mind that Steph didn't shoot all that well in that game either. They don't keep in mind that 35 means something. However
So,
old they are, 35 means something.
so if you were the GM for both the Golden State Warriors, and who's out now? I would say the Atlanta Hawks. What would be your move to move forward?
I mean, the Hawks. I hate to say it, man, but Trey Young got to go. Um, and this is why you keep Dejounte and you ship Trey to two reasons. One, Trey is marketable. You can get a lot more value for him on the market. Uh, but I think in Atlanta, I think that's the wrong place for Trey. He not, like he had a hot year or something or whatever, hot year and a half or something, season and a half or whatever. But really, um, injuries. I know injuries plague him. I'm not gonna say injuries don't play a role in what's going on, but man, he just ain't getting it done like he thought he would. I mean, dude, you ice trade, but you be ice cold. I don't. You keep jacking them up, but at the same time, but I watched the whole thing where you did an interview and you said you like passing the ball, so pass the ball for real. Get your get your teammates off, man. Like remember when Magic had come out, man? We were talking Magic earlier. Remember when Magic had come out? He missed them first two, three shots. Then all he doing is, man, no little pass, man. I'm leading the break. You feel what I'm saying? Then all he doing is passes. I mean, I just don't see that from Trey. I don't see him evolving, man, into that rounded player that everybody expected him to be. He's
Hmm.
just a chunker. Like just chunk him up here. Like for real. He just and it counts his team heavy. Um so if I'm the Hawks, I get rid of Trey Young and I bring in um more I bring in maybe a young dynamic player, or maybe you even get rid of Capella, right? Or Trey Young and Capella, and you get you a center that can shoot. It's a couple of centers. You could probably get them out of the draft. They can play a little bit, but you can find somebody that can rebound and they can stretch the court for them, um, because Capella can't do that for you, right? Like he can't say so. He can't hit a 17-footer. He can't hit a three. It kind of hampers them when they need scoring. And on the other side, if you the Warriors, um, it's time.
Is it time to
I
blow it
think
up?
I think you get rid of as many pieces. You don't want to waste. Um, you don't want to waste Steph Curry last couple of years or something, not really competing. So I think it's time to make that move. I think you got to cut. I mean, I know loyalty is everything sometimes, but it's time to cut Draymond loose. It's you know, Clay can hit the market or whatever, um, which is unfortunate because Clay had game, and we know that we talking Hall of Famers. For some reason they're gonna be Hall of Famers. But at the same time, the best um, the best part of the Warriors right now is that those young players, like I said, had career they had career seasons because now you can start looking. But I think you look for another name besides a Chris Paul or something to put there with Golden State. Um, I don't know who gonna be free. I don't know all the free agents yet, but it's gonna be somebody out there that you could probably land if you package that right and get rid of, or a good trade. Get you a good trade. You know what would be a good trade? You know what would be a good trade? If you said, I think Trey Young would be good in Golden State. I think he fit. I think he fit what they do, and I think it'll give him the freedom. I just don't think the coaches that he have really can harness his skills like a Steve Kerr could. You know what I'm saying? And then they would be all if they made a move like that, then they would be saying that we we ready for the transition all the way around. You know what I'm saying? Whatever Steph say he done or whatever you have that you can have that. I think that'll be a good move for them. Somebody like a Trey Young. Um, I think it'll help him, and I think it'll help Trey Young's career, right? Getting around Steve Kerr, who was a shooter. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Get a shooter in your ear saying, "Hey, man, you got to know what." Get somebody that played that same position. I think. even if he went to Portland, I think that'd be a good move for Trey Young, right? 'Cause I think Chauncey Billups could do something with that, right? I mean, Chauncey Billups trying to make something out of those, out of nothing, right? Out of all those young players, you got to wait for them to develop. You bring a Trey Young in, and then I think with Chauncey in his ear, man, I just think he need a voice other than a Snyder and whoever he had before Snyder. You know what I'm saying? I think he just needs the right voice.
So on the opposite side of the spectrum, expectations is that, of course, like we spoke about, the Miami's going home and New Orleans going home. Do you think it's anything that's going to be able to make them teams better come in during the off season, or you think it was just the loss of those of their two stars, and we wouldn't be having a conversation in reference to them. We'll be talking about the other teams.
Well, I've been telling you, man, Miami needs to make a move. They gotta get like a Robin or something to Jimmy Butler's Batman if they want to win it all. I mean, they good enough to make. We seen them. They're good enough to make the finals, but I don't think they're good enough to beat any team out of the West. You know what I mean? Like,
You don't think
like
Hines is that Robin?
no,
Okay.
no. I think Jaquez is a good piece. Now I think you need another piece. You need somebody that can consistently score. They struggle, man. They struggle scoring so bad sometimes,
They need a second scorer, basically. You
man.
thought it
Because
was Hero.
Hero was 9 for 27. Like he shot worse than like they shot awful. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, listen to that. Butler was 5 for 18. Hero was 9 for 27, and it was still a competitive game. Think about it. They lost by 1 point. You know what I'm saying? Like make some of those buckets, man. It's like, whew, like but when the Heat struggle scoring, they really struggle. That's why they so. But that's why they so aggressive on the defensive side, and they play good defense for the most of the game, man. They have to because they know they can't shoot all that well. And Spo does a good job of understanding that they gonna have those long. They had long droughts. Um, you saw that the other night. Like they was beating the pants off Philly early, and then they hit that drought that you know that the Heat gonna hit. Take nothing away from the 76ers, by the way. I gotta say that Nicholas Batum, you saved the
Oh yeah,
Sixers.
yeah.
You
Batum said, yeah.
saved the Sixers.
Batum
You know,
and Oubre.
yeah, because it wasn't Maxey or Harris like you would think. Poor Embiid, I said just man, I give Embiid so much flack about his flopping around and stuff, but he clearly not 100%. Uh, and his coach, I think, left him out there a long period of time, even as a decoy or whatever. I mean, the man had his hands on his knees. You know, you know what I mean? Like quite a few times they showed him with his hands on his knees while play was in action. Like this ain't during those free throws or nothing. This is why you playing. Just pass the ball and then But you got to do what you got to do. So commend him, but I don't think that's going to help them. Um, Now, flip it to the West. Disappointing. Disappointing. Zion, the injury is one thing, but man, the Pelicans. I think you still got enough talent to be competitive tonight. But I think what you need to do is, besides Zion's health um, and Ingram's health, because he gets hurt quite a bit. Um, the one thing that I see about them that they probably lacking is uh, consistency rebounding. Like I don't know who I don't know who's how do these young guys train these days? Um, because what I saw was in that game. Did you notice how AD forget getting to the rim easy, but the offensive rebounds were making me mad, especially when the guy standing in front of him. Hey, box him out. You know what I'm saying? Hey, box him out. Hey, if you jump, here's a tip, young people. If you in front of the man, if you put your body on him and you jump and he hits you in the back of the head, hey, that's a foul. But you can't draw no fouls if you just standing there. Look, what you doing? I mean, I was like the offense. Hachimura, the offensive rebounds, it was just making me mad. You know what I mean? Like pick a Laker. Pick a Laker. I bet you in there front of that game, nearly every Laker that played had an offensive rebound. At least one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know for sure as a stat, but I'm just saying that's what it seemed like when you watching the game. If you was watching the game, it's like, yo, they getting too many rebounds. So you got to get a, besides Zion, you got to get a rebound. Everybody got to hit the glass for them. I think Willie Green worked that into existence in the future because I don't know, like what player they can get, but yeah, you got to get somebody that can rebound. Get you a rebounder, and hopefully Zion can stay healthy. I think the Pelicans can. I mean, from what I've seen from Zion, just those glimpses, we was talking John Morant, maybe get a championship. No, Zion gonna get one if he ever healthy. If he can make it through a whole season, people, and a postseason, what they gonna be contenders. They gonna be.
He's pretty close this year. He has 70 games on his to this game record. 70 games, his longest season in which he played. So I mean, hopefully they figure it out, get him in there with a trainer that's going to be able to overcome these injuries. Because what's this is another foot injuries, hamstring injuries, like is starting to mount up. They're starting to build in that. So one more thing before we get into what the other games, I want to go back to the Golden State, in which Coach Kerr was stated that there's value in keeping their core together. Do you agree? Of course, you don't agree with it because you said if you was the GM, they would be on their way out. You wouldn't shop Clay per se, but you wouldn't worry about Clay leaving. Insane, is that correct?
Correct. But Draymond definitely got to go. Or
Gotta go. Yeah.
But we know why Steve Kerr feels the way he feels, right? The Bulls had to he was on that Bulls team that had to cut their range short, Trey. Like you got to think about it, and it wasn't because the players wanted to or the coach wanted to. Remember, it was the GM saying, "Hey, Phil out of here," regardless, and then everybody saying, "Hey, one after the other." It was like the domino effect. Well, if Phil ain't here, I ain't here, and then if he ain't here, I ain't here. Then, they broke up the team. They broke up the squad. So I can see what he's saying about keeping that core together, but I just feel like the league has caught Golden State and they're about to pass them if you don't do something. You know what I'm saying? Like the league is caught up with you. Look how thick the West is. That's why you were 10. You didn't have a losing record. I think weren't they 10 games over 500?
Yeah.
Or something like, you know what I mean?
Over 500, definitely over 500, yeah.
I mean, but you feel what I'm saying? Like, so it wasn't like you were sorry. You just sorry in the West. You know what I mean? Like you just sorry for the competition in the West. That's all. Hold on.
So, of course, like you said, with that being said, they going forth, let's talk about what we do know. Of course, starting off with the 7th seed in Denver and LA in the West. What is your prediction on that series?
Everybody's not giving the Lakers a chance. Everybody's saying because Denver has had their number. I watched Stephen A. the other morning yelling and screaming about that, talking about they kicking me, you know what, Denver show something. And man, look, I think the Lakers they could sneak up and beat Denver if Denver mess around. If you mess around, you going home. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's going to be competitive. I actually think it's going to be a 7-game series, regardless of who wins. I actually think it's going to be a tough series. I think the Lakers. I think AD already said it. You know what I'm saying? He said it at the beginning of the year that it left a sour taste in their mouth. I hope he wasn't just talking. I hope he come to show up. And let's watch AD in the Joker part. What 3? Because remember they played. This time it's gonna be early on. Remember they played when they was in the bubble or whatever. They played, and the Lakers got the best of them this time. Last year it was Denver getting the best of them. So let's go 3 and see what happens. You know what I mean? I mean it's the rubber match, so it's gonna be pretty good.
So I definitely agree with you. Of course, my prediction is that LA is in 7, but I definitely think it's going to be in 7. I think it's a different mindset. Also, I know the conversations I was been that LA has been smacked up 0-8 against the last 8 meetings versus the Denver Nuggets. But of course, now they have different players in which they even had in the season when they last played them. So it's going to be an added sense. So hopefully these players are able to come and make the difference. Like you said, at minimum, AD shows up. I know I continuously see the clip when AD was playing defense, had his hand outstretched on Jokic out at 36 feet, and Jokic was still able to bury the ball. And kind of AD just looked at him like with a smile, like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I think that was a 40-point game for AD, and he couldn't stop Jokic. So I would hope that, you know what I'm saying, that he has emphasis on, I'm finna show him why I have been a defensive all-team, all-pro, NBA all-pro first-team defensive player, and get in there, even if it's at the angst of him not being completely productive on the defensive side of the offensive side of the ball. If he can show his defensive prowess and put a stopgap in Jokic's game, hopefully that'll be enough, and everyone else to just have to sit up and do what they can to stop Gordon, Murray, and Porter. Although, I mean, we're gonna talk about it. Hopefully, Porter's brother is adding to that, to where he's gonna be problematic for Porter. So so we gonna definitely talk about that. But yeah, so I agree. I just had them in 7. So what do you think about the 3-6 matchup in Minnesota Timberwolves and Phoenix Suns?
Ant-Man all the way, man. Ant-Man, right? I mean, it's show and tell now, man. It's time for him. I think he gonna show out though. I don't think he need any encouragement from anybody or anything. I think he's ready to bring his game, and it's unfortunate for the Suns. Now, I don't see a good mix with the Suns from the games that I've seen from them, right? And I ain't seen good effort. Um, Especially when they can't make shots. You don't see them doing none of the dirty. You don't see the Suns doing none of the dirty work. You know what I mean? Like, you don't see the Durants or the Bookers diving on the ground for loose balls and stuff, man. You know, and Booker used to do that. Like, Booker used to do that. Maybe it's injuries. Maybe they, saving it for the playoffs. I don't know. You know, but they are lower seed than what they were expected, and Bill. Then I think Bill done been out the most with the injury. Playing with the back injury, whatever, man. But for me, the Suns, man. Hey, KD, if you don't get it done this time, I don't want to hear nothing else about KD and how great he is, man. Because you ain't done nothing since you left Golden State, to be honest. Like, I think you made one Eastern Conference Finals or something. I think one with Brooklyn, maybe. I think that was the Eastern Conference Finals. They got beat by Milwaukee, um, or whatever. But other than that, you've done nothing. Like, and you too good of a player, um, not to have the team ride. But the other part, I don't know. Like, they don't have a lot of depth. 7-man rotation. I don't know.
Hmm. Clippers and Mavericks.
That's gonna be a good series. Is Kawhi playing or not, man? I mean, you always gotta look. You gotta look at the little ticker at the bottom. Is Kawhi playing or not? Because
Kawhi is expected to be there.
if Kawhi is playing, then the Clippers are gonna beat them. It might go 7, but I don't know. I don't know if the Clippers gonna play with them this year. But don't sleep on Luca. Uh, we talk a lot about Luca, but we don't talk enough about Kyrie. So I think Kyrie gonna have to give him 30. Kyrie gonna have to give him 30 a night, and I don't know if he gonna be able to
Are
do
you a
that.
nice Kyrie?
You gonna have to. I mean, you gonna need the 30 and 40 from Luca. Wait, well, you think the Clippers, the way they constructed, are gonna let Gafford and all those other people? They're not gonna let them get off. You know what I'm saying? They locking down everybody else, so the pressure gonna be on Dallas's 2 stars to really put up good numbers. And I just think the way I'm looking at that series is 4 versus 2, man. Like like I'm looking at, if the 4 come up short, it better be because Kawhi hurt. That better be the only reason you come up short. Teron Lue, is no way you lose this series when 4. You got 4 of them. 4.
4 potential
4.
Hall of Famers.
Hey, what he said? What's the Moses Malone quote? Four and four, whatever. You got four of them. So
Are going into the East, the second seed versus the 7th seed, Knicks and 76ers. What's your take on that?
ooh, if Embiid was 100% the way the Sixers played the other night, I think the Sixers. I still think the Sixers got a chance to win it. But I think they got to play fast. Um, the Knicks. Come on, if it's a walk the ball down the court game, Brunson is gonna destroy y'all in that game. So you gotta the Sixers gotta hit the passing lane. They gotta get some steals. They gotta turnovers. They gotta fast break it a little bit. I know Embiid ain't gonna run up and down the court, but if you fast breaking like that and you get a bucket, that takes the pressure off of Embiid a little bit. And I think that's the only way that the 76ers can win with a hurt Embiid. Um, on the Knicks side, Hart, all you gotta do is hit the glass, baby. Keep hitting the glass. Keep hitting the glass, young man. The Knicks, man, they hustle. So can Philly can Philly match they hustle? Because the Knicks are a hustling team. Man, they hustle. They get after it, and like I said, I think Brunson can go all the way to the set. I think he can take the Knicks all the way to the final.
Mm.
I think he can.
So the next matchup, of course, the Milwaukee Bucks at 3, and Indiana Pacers at 6. Who you got?
Oh, we're preparing to be without Giannis. If he plays, he plays. But man, Chris Middleton, shut up. Y'all don't stand a chance without Giannis. You know what I'm saying? You didn't get out of the first round last year without Giannis. What are you saying? You
Mm.
know, like,
But they got Dame time this time.
Dame time. Look here, Dame time, who always come up short when it's time to really. I mean, hey, we've seen him in the playoffs before. Uh, we've seen him in the Western Conference Finals come up short. When we thought that he had a good chance. I mean, I'm just saying, Dame got to prove it. Dame, it's your chance to prove it. You're on a better team, probably the best team you've been on your career, your career. Uh, with a lot of returning champions on that team. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You got a championship squad. Bobby Porter is a champion. Brooke Lopez champion. Giannis is a champion. Chris Middleton champion. You surrounded by a bunch of champions. Um, so it's just gonna be it's just gonna be what Dame Lil can do if Giannis don't play. But really, I'm looking at an upset in that series. I am.
And
I think Indiana can beat
last but not least, the Orlando Magic taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. Probably maybe one of the better series of the in this year's playoffs. In my opinion, I think Orlando gets it 4-7. 4-3. And that's just but that's mainly depending upon what we get out of Donovan Mitchell, how well Jared Allen played, Darius Garland, what he's doing. But what's your take on it?
to me. Evan Mobley, uh, he got like I think he in the game too, and he got to come up big. He got to come up big. He got to play. I'm still alive from Shaquille O'Neal. He got to play big. You know what I'm saying? He got to play big in the series. Um, and I just think Orlando. I'm going for Orlando. I think Orlando gonna win the series, but um, in order for Cleveland to be effective in that series and not just get totally beat, I think Mobley got to step his game up. We know what Donovan Mitchell gonna do for the most part, but on the flip side of that, the Magic collectively are gonna, you know what I mean? Like just keep doing what you're doing. As long as don't nobody start trying to play hero ball for them, I think they're gonna be fine.
And of course, the other two games which we didn't talk about, in which were the expectations, is that I guess we could say, is anyone beating the number 1 seed, the Oklahoma City Thunder, or the Boston Celtics out of the teams that are left for the play-in? Any of those 4 teams.
Well, okay, I'm gonna keep it all the way real right here. Um, we expecting the Kings to win tonight. I think the Kings can beat OKC in the first round.
Oh, really? I can see
Yep.
it. I can see
I
it.
think the Kings. I think the Kings can beat them. I mean, and I was talking noise about Mike Brown. You know what I'm saying? I don't like the position that you was in the play in. I still, because you see what your team can do. You know, um, so I don't like the position that you in. But at the same time, now now is your chance to prove that like now it's time. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's time. This is where Mike Brown gonna earn his. This is where, um, but this is where the OKC Thunder players got a chance to say, "Hey, we really arrived, and it's ours." That's why we the number one seed. I like SGA now. I like their squad. I like a lot of their pieces, but for me, I think the biggest thing that's going to separate those two teams is the 3-point shooting. I think I actually think the Kings got better 3-point shooters. So if those threes are falling for the Kings, it'll be hard to stop them.
And the Boston Celtics versus.
Well, if it was going to be the Heat and Jimmy Butler, they was going home. I think we talked about that earlier. Like Boston season would have been a complete failure in the first round. But if it's the Bulls, come on, man, the Bulls was like 12 games under 500. The Celtics go beat them like they stole something. Like for real. I mean, I'm just saying, like, I don't even think I don't think the Bulls would win a game.
The
I
sweep.
like I like Vucevic though. Vucevic, Kobe White, he plays some ball. Cody White, he plays some ball. Um, and um, I like Caruso, but Caruso out. Like Caruso hurt.
He's the best defensive player they had.
Oh yeah, and he hurt.
So let's get into this other part of it. Jonte Murray.
Hmm.
I mean Jonte Porter.
Porter.
$72,000 betted, netted $22,000. His contract was 2.8 million. I know you're a numbers person. Is that mathing
No, it's
on the
not.
risk? On the risk, like what was you thinking, Jonte?
Right, but to us, that's how we see it, right? But I think the young man, I think he should become a spokesman for sports betting. You know what I'm saying? I think he's about to become the face of sports betting. I mean, I would, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, they banned you, but you
For
can still
life.
bet, right? And you can bet as much as you want now. So, so, hey, I mean, take advantage of the market. I think but on a real level, we knew that something like that was gonna happen. We saw the NFL infractions or whatever the little stuff. But this is big time right here because the
He's an
NBA said
example. He's being examples
he
made of
said
him.
you are banned.
Yeah.
Like man, you are banished from the kingdom. Like you banished from the kingdom that you worked your whole life to get. So that's got to be a blow. But hey, you young, you make those choices sometimes, man. We all been guilty of making some bad choices. So I'm not gonna punish the man or beat up his name and reputation for the choice that he made.
So it's a good thing you say that. I ask you this: do you think that was too harsh from the NBA? From the NBA to hit him with a year, a lifetime ban?
Yeah, man, like that. But you got to though, right? Because you got to
Because
say that he
he bet on his
right.
team with him. Yeah,
And then he gave the insider information.
he
You
gave
can't
insider
get.
information here.
I mean, and he said, but how do we know you only told about your own injuries? Now we got to try to take your word for it. like, see, see what I mean? Like, it's too. It leads to too many ifs, so you got to squash it all the way around. You know what I mean? So therefore, is no that way so nobody else. would probably even think about doing it. But it's still gonna be another bonehead.
I'm trying to figure out.
It's
I'm
gonna be
trying to
another with people.
I'm trying to figure out, and maybe it's due to the after the investigations when everything comes out, everyone's questioning their stuff. But how do they be getting this information? Like he was betting on someone under someone else's account. How do we get this info? Like how's this stuff?
Man, look, there's plenty of snitches, there's plenty of leaks, and a league like the NBA, man, they have to be. I'm sure they probably do like some kind of random check on the players. I'm sure that's a part of the
I think
CBAs
they
and
are.
stuff,
I
right?
think they have contracts with the betting entities that lets them know who's betting, how they're betting, and all that type of stuff. So
You have to because you got to protect the integrity of your brand. Um, you don't want to be a bunch of cheaters and stuff. You know what I mean. Remember, the NFL was almost lost back in the days. Remember when they had the strike and then they had to bring all these different players in. They tried to play. What was that movie? They tried to, years later they made the Keanu Reeves movie, man, The Replacements. You know what I'm saying? They had, remember, um, and then different things started to turn around, um, for the NFL. But you have to take some of them chances. Like what I'm saying is that sometimes, man, the things that they fear the most could probably be a win-win. But you can't bet. Like officials shouldn't be allowed to bet. You know, and on no sport. I mean, I get it. You're a basketball player and you want to bet on other sports. I can't tell you what to do, but man, it should be improper until the season's over, right? Then maybe you can bet. Like then your betting is up. But I think during the season, no betting at all. I mean, that would be a rule in my clubhouse. You know what I'm saying? Or in my locker room. You know what I'm saying?
not to bet at all. So
Yeah, not a bet at all.
jumping back and forth, jumping around and stuff like this, going back into amateurism or what was amateurism, going back into the college aspect, but not basketball in this particular instance. Let's go into some of the football, the pigskin, before we actually get into the NFL. As we know, the NFL draft is coming about, is looming. But going back into college basketball, college, not basketball, college in general, what is your take on the exodus of players that left the University of Colorado this week? 14 total players have decided to go into the transfer portal. Although they were predominantly, they are all backup players. Does that say anything to the program in your opinion?
Yeah, it's something funny going on now, right? Like two or three, you say they feel like they can go somewhere else, but 14 that's quite a bit of players that just want to leave. So uh, something must have happened. Something really had to happen, or either they don't just like the coach. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, it's Dion. I mean, and he said, "Don't worry about it." He said it ain't no big deal, but it's kind of sort of a
But he's
big
supposed
deal.
to say that, right?
Yeah, he's supposed to say that, but it something don't look right, right? And here's the crazy thing, Dion. We all want you to be successful. We thought you was gonna be so successful, but then if you look over there, if you look not far from you, Nebraska was a little bit more successful than you, and nobody thought Matt Rule was gonna do what he did. Like, let's just keep it real. Like, you know what I mean? Nobody thought Matt Rule was gonna do what he did, but so yeah, if you want to be competitive, like you got to keep some of these players like your starters. We saw what happened. Your starters can't just do it alone. When people start getting injured, you got to fill in. You got to fill in, and you probably lose some good recruits, by the way.
And which he talked about that, as you was just saying, I was just thinking about how his the the reporters that he was speaking to during the conference said they were potential starters, and Dion asked if he's seen the practices, uh have they been at the practices to see these players, and then there was nothing because Dion doesn't allow press or media at his practices. So it's like, well, okay, amen. And they're saying, so it's like when you look at that, but you got someone like Cormani McLean, who was a 5-star recruit that is in the portal, and then you had the AAC's rookie freshman of the year in 2021 in Alton McCaskill, who's no longer there. He's in the portal. So I mean, those are contributors to this past season. You got to believe and think that it's something brewing there. Maybe did he keep the same energy that he had when he first came to Boulder, and maybe that rubbed some people the wrong way, or maybe it's some stuff going forth and looking at who there maybe some leaking within their institution to who he's drafting or who he's recruiting, where some people are looking at like, yo, why is that? So I wonder why they exited, in which I'm very sure if I look up, I can find some inkling, but that's crazy. Additionally, another portal candidate, Jaden Rashada from Arizona State, has left his Arizona State institution to go into the portal. Like, and now what it says is, as long as you have outstanding as long as you're a model student and everything, you can be in the portal as much as you want.
Right.
Unlimited.
And I think some of them just bounce around. I don't know what some of them hope to accomplish. Like unless you're already going somewhere where you pretty much got a guarantee that you'll get a starting job. I mean, I don't know. I see a lot of these players entering the portal just to stand on the sidelines. That don't even make sense. You might as well do that where you at. I think some of them feel like I think a lot of the players jump in the portal when they don't get their way sometimes, but I think the bigger part of it is, um, uh, you want to play. So I think playing, like, am I going to get on the field? How much I'm going to be on the field? I think those things factor in. I think one of the biggest things is this chase for the NIL right now. Like, hey, just pop it off over here, so I'm gonna go over here. I mean, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of factors. Like college, the college player is about to be a business now, like the pro player. So yeah, it's a lot going into it. Um, I like the portal, but I think it should be limits though.
Limit to
I
the
think it should
portal.
be
Really?
limits.
Like what do you think would be an ideal limit for it to be in reference to the portal?
Well, you get 4 years with a fifth year option, right? Most and most people in college, if they redshirt you, you get a fifth year eligibility, right? So um, I think it should be, I think that if you hit that portal, twice, you should be pretty much done. Like if you ain't found what you're looking for twice, you know what I'm saying? Like man, I look at it like if you living in this life and you doing different things, like sometimes you can't just uh like you can't just be as uh choosy with certain decisions. It's like, hey, you know, like where the how many times was Mahomes in the portal? I mean, I'm just saying, like, it wasn't a portal, so don't even worry about that, people. I'm just saying, it was a portal, but it wasn't used like it's used now, right? It's always been a portal, but it's just we call it a transfer. So now this portal has become this thing where you ain't just transferring, you're taking a brand with you now. You're building a brand here and there. So I look at it like the great ones don't need to do all that. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna be on the field. I think that the transfer portal. Imagine they had the transfer portal when Cam was. You know what I'm saying? Like remember he transferred like the way the portal is now is what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
modern version of the portal. What if they had this when Cam? Does he go to that junior college and do what he? You remember he had to go all the way to a junior college. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he
He had
went
to
to
go all the
Glenn.
way. Right. He had to go all the way to a junior college and then work his way back up to Auburn and stuff. So
So he said had he been able to go from Florida to anywhere else, it would have probably been. You might have probably seen something different,
he
or
probably
maybe
would
not.
have
I
seen.
don't know.
He probably would have won two national championships. I'm just gonna put that out there. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he probably would have won two national championships. But he didn't need that in college because we saw that he was pretty decent in the pros. We saw that he was pretty decent in the pros, and he made good moves. Y'all gotta forgive me, man. This dog, like, they cutting grass out there, so the dog, she can't go outside, so she just going.
BA, what's good, man? Glad to have information with us, brother. How you doing? Salute to you as well, my brother. So transferring and moving back into, like we talk about, the NFL. As we know, the NFL is about to go through their draft at the end of the week, at the end of next week, in which you're going to see who are the new players that are instituted into these organizations. Of course, when we look at it, as we discussed just the other day, we talked about how there's a high expectation for the most part, and it's starting to come out to where it's like who is who the who. In my opinion, a deep wide receiver core, potentially maybe a deep quarterbacking core. For it, it continues to escape me. Why is it that every 2 years, roughly, teams are willing to pick up a quarterback when every team in the NFL has a quarterback? Like, what is that? Why is that, in your opinion? Why do we keep on going to revisiting this?
Well, because they're not getting the quarterbacks that they want. Or the draft. Like, how many quarterbacks actually playing out? Right. Here's the interesting thing. Remember Peyton Manning?
Peyton
Remember
Manning,
Peyton?
yes.
Peyton Manning wasn't even like he was a name in his draft. You know, one of the biggest names. Remember Ryan Leaf was supposed to be that stud. Remember Ryan Leaf?
So,
You know what I'm
okay,
saying?
true
Like,
that.
remember
Yeah.
Ryan Leaf? Like, remember the whole Ryan Leaf thing? Like, sometimes you just get it wrong. Sometimes we just get it wrong. Like, and teams get it wrong. No matter how much you scout, vet players, watch film on players, talk to players, bring players in, whatever. Sometimes, man, when you see them it just don't add up. Like you can't um hold everybody to the same standards because we always see this, right? Like, what's it like? Jalen Hurts, great, right? But remember Jamarcus Russell? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I bring up Jamarcus Russell to say that he had all the talent, man. He was cold coming out of LSU. Nobody saw that coming. You know what I mean? But on another note, you do this because nowadays you can get a quarterback, you can get a young quarterback. Everybody saw what happened with Brock Purdy, right? And how
Yeah.
much money does San Francisco owe him? You can get prime talent, contender, championship contender talent at a print like on the cheap. You know what I mean? Under a rookie contract, you can get that. You know what I'm saying? So you just have to.
So
Jalen Hurts did the same thing, right? Jalen Hurts didn't get paid. He didn't get paid when he went to. He wasn't paid when he went to the Super Bowl. He got paid after. You know what I'm saying? Like rookie contract. You can get the talent. Rookie contract.
So, do you think is it always the player, or do you think sometimes it's just a bad fit? Or what's the percentage on the player being trash versus the team and their dynamic being not conducive to the player in which they drafted?
Well, this is my thing with we don't know like we saw glimpses, we saw different things. Like I know people don't like the whole Justin Fields thing, but we saw that with a team like Chicago who don't develop quarterbacks. And he probably and I feel like if Andy Reid was his coach, I feel like I feel like with the same squad that he been on, and Andy Reid as the coach, I think you still hold different quarterback, right? Or a McVay, you know what I mean? Or a McDaniel's, or Mike McDaniel's, you know what I'm saying? Mike, not Josh, you know what I'm saying? But I think with different coaches, I think you would have saw different results with the kid, right? So
Hmm.
I think sometimes it's the organization, right? Like look at the Patriots. Look at what they did to Mac Jones. Mac Jones came in confident, had that ego soaring, and he put up decent numbers in his rookie year. You say, oh man, they'd have found their next quarterback. The pressure got real big because everybody want to compare. Man, first of all, you walking into the goat's house. You know what I'm saying? You walking into the house that Tom built, and you got to live up to that. And then you got to learn whatever system. But what system are they running? You had three offensive coordinators all 3 years. You didn't have the same coordinator. I mean, you know what I mean? Like you've had three, like pretty much. So yeah, sometimes it's the player, right? Like take Carson Wentz. He started off great, right? His trajectory was high. He was pretty good. And then what happened? Uh, You can't even explain that. Remember Baker Mayfield was sort of like that, and he'd have worked his way back. So and Baker was the number one overall. You know what I mean? I think Wentz was too. Wentz, I know Wentz went high in the draft.
Yeah,
To
this
Philly.
was a high draft pick.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think sometimes it's the player. But you can say this too. Um, Now this is just me. The worst Super Bowl I've seen as far as quarterbacks, as far as two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Uh, I ain't talking mismatches. I'm talking just the two worst opposing quarterbacks I've seen. Was Trent Dilfer. I ain't gonna say worse, but you know what I'm saying. Let's know names or whatever. But Trent Dilfer. Remember Trent Dilfer went against 2000, the Ravens against the Giants. So weren't those the two starting quarterbacks? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Trent Dilfer and Kerry Collins. Names you don't mention, people you don't even talk about. So it's doable. You know what I mean? Like that's how you know teams. It's doable. You can do things with different.
So I'm gonna shoot some names at you. Actually, these are the quarterbacks potentially that could be in the that could be drafted, right? And I like to tell me what round you think they're going in. Or if they're going to even go, if you feel like they're going to be a free agent, they're going to be an undrafted free agent, you know what I'm saying? State your case, gangster. So, of course, first and foremost, Caleb Williams out of USC. What round?
You know he probably gonna be the first overall pick, right? And I'm gonna throw this out there. I don't wish the young man no ill will or whatever, but remember last year's draft? Wasn't that Bryce Young that went over first overall? See, I'm gonna put that out there. That I think they're gonna miss. I think the Bears are gonna miss the mark with Caleb Williams. I think if he went to the Commanders or the Patriots or somewhere or down the line, I think it'll be a better fit. I think he'll be, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna kill his morale going to Chicago. They got nothing. I mean, you don't have a line to protect. Did you see them quarterbacks scrambling for their lives? You don't have a line to protect them. You just bringing them in, throwing them to the wolves. Same thing you did with the last quarterback you had. So I don't see that. Like I said, if they bring in a quarterback guru or something, then I give him a chance. But if I'm Caleb Williams, you're in the worst possible spot that everybody's talking about you going first. Um, I would rather that be somebody else, right? But he going first overall. He
Going
going to
first
the
round.
best.
So first round, I agree. He's going to be a first round draft. Next up, probably the a high, which is interesting that for last year's Heisman, this year's Heisman, expected to potentially go 1 and 2. But what's your take on Jaden Daniels? Is he a first round draft pick?
Oh yeah, man. I think he not those two. The first two names you said, they number 1 and 2 in the draft right there. And I think the Commanders are going to win that. I would take. I think that young man gonna come in and have an impact right away. I think the Commanders. He gonna automatically make the Commanders contenders.
So
They
you
was
know
just a
what was funny?
quarterback. They was just a quarterback away.
So you know what? And Hinkie wasn't that bad, you know what I'm saying? But so what's funny is, is it presumable to say that even though these are transfers, but is it presumable to say that LSU is becoming a quarterback developing organization institution?
Yeah, I mean, you see Burrow come out of there. I think Daniel's gonna be special. Like you can just see the writing on the wall that in a year or two we might be talking about the Commanders back. Like the Commanders of the '80s or something. Like they back into the conversation for real. Like new ownership, going a different direction, bring in that talent. Oh yeah, and then you got what's his name, McLaurin. Man, you got some receivers, you got some weapons.
Dotson,
Um,
McLaurin, yeah.
and then you got a decent running game. Um, I think like all you got to do is work on replacing that D line that they got rid of. You got to replace that D line that you got rid of.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I think the Commanders are setting themselves up to compete in that NFC East with my Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. Which I think the Giants. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I think the Giants are going to compete. But I think the Commanders working their way back.
Next up, Drake May, redshirt sophomore out of North Carolina.
First round.
First round.
Yep.
But to who though? Like we sit up and think about it.
Minnesota.
Okay.
Drake May is going to Minnesota. Because the other two that you mentioned ain't gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? So Drake May going to Minnesota.
I'm about to say so because when you look at it, how many teams are actually really quarterback need quarterbacks? Like we know, of course, Chicago, because Chicago traded away their franchise quarterback. Washington got rid of their bench their friend. No, I think they moved Hinkie. I think he's gone. So Washington got rid of theirs. Minnesota, they let theirs walk. So I guess it is. I will get to that. So okay, you said the first round. Drake May, first round. Of course. Next quarterback on the docket, JJ McCarthy, Jr. out of Michigan, national champion.
Now, he probably shouldn't. Now, in my opinion, he shouldn't be in the first round, but he gonna go. He gonna go at minimum late first round.
Hey, first round.
Late first round. If the Vikings don't take him, I forgot about JJ McCarthy. They might take him. I mean, because when I look at the Vikings, I look at, man, you need somebody. Y'all play in an enclosed area, right? I get that, but you need somebody that's built for Minnesota. Like if you don't like everybody not built for Minnesota. Trust me, I've lived there. You know, it took some getting used to. Everybody not built for that cold, that weather. Everybody not built for certain areas. You know, so if you can handle all that, like if you can handle the elements, and if you can handle the environment, then yeah, I think you can thrive in Minnesota, right? But like I said, everybody not built for it.
So JJ McCarthy, you believe late first round?
Late first round.
What about Michael Penix, senior out of Washington?
That's my favorite quarterback in the draft, by the way.
Okay.
I think he's gonna surprise a lot of people. I think he's more ready than people give him credit for. But he's gonna go low in the early second round. I see Penix making it to the second round.
Second round. So Penix, a second round player. I agree with you. Penix, I think is going to be a second round, early second round. I think JJ is going to be a first round pick just because it's going to be late, and the expectation might be a team that is, well, you know what? It depends. Because with someone we didn't speak about the Las Vegas Raiders and where they're picking or how they're going to be picking. So potentially, I think one of these can be can move up. But I agree with you on it so far. I'm rocking with you.
Whatever order the Raiders in, they probably if Drake May, they picking the one that ain't going to Minnesota. That's all I'm saying. You know what I mean? They taking it. If it's May going to Minnesota, then they gonna have McCarthy. I mean, I'm just saying, like you can see the writing on the wall. I would like them to take Michael Penix. I mean, because I think he'll be a good fit with the Raiders. I think he got the arm to get Devontae the ball. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I would take, if I'm the Raiders, I would take Penix because you got Devontae Adams. I mean, that would be the difference. I mean, you got, because then, hey, you saw how he was with Aaron Rodgers. Imagine how he would be with this guy at the helm, throwing that ball. I mean, he got an arm, put it out there, and then you look at it, you probably going back, Dante Culpepper and Randy Moss. There we go. I gotta give it one time for Dante, man.
This one is, I think, is he's a wild card, so to speak. I don't think he's going to be on anyone's franchise quarterback, but he's going to be a waiting in wait. So Bo Nix, senior out of Oregon.
He gonna go second round, right?
Second round.
Okay, so I actually think that Caleb Williams and Bo Nix, they both should have been like in last year's draft. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. I think they both should have been in last year's draft. That's why I think teams like we already said Caleb going first overall. I think he being drafted too high because he wasn't nearly the quarterback this year that he was last year. That's what I'm saying. Like, even his college game dropped off. So you got to be a little, you got to be leery of that. Same thing with Bo Nix. Now Bo Nix raised his level of play. You know what I mean? And he played really great, but he did, he transferred. So I look at the whole finished product, his whole college career, and it's like we know where he started and where he got to, so we know he gonna work hard and keep trying to come up. But I think for me, Bo Nix got to develop a little bit more. Even though I think he's probably one of the older ones in the draft, one of the older quarterbacks.
Yeah, so second round, definitely, I think it's second round. What
But
about an
here,
old name, which we ain't talk
I'm just
about?
gonna throw this out here. You don't be 25 or whatever, however old Bo Nix is. I think he's 23, 24,
He's
25,
old as
whatever.
shit.
But I'm just saying, you don't be that old and still in college without good reason. If you was ready for the pros earlier, I know he had some injuries and I know he transferred and stuff. So I'm just saying, if you was ready for the pros,
So this name I want to throw out there, which is interesting because he's in the same draft class as the person that removed him from his initial starting position. That person being Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler. Now here's the thing. Everybody thought he was gonna be a sensational talent and all that. But second round, second, you know,
Second round.
and I'm thinking middle second round. He might make it to the third round.
I actually think Spencer's going to be a fourth rounder. But even in that being said, sometimes that's not the worst of things when you end up being
No,
a third or fourth, no matter where
it's
you
a
go.
better team.
You have a better opportunity. So you're
This
saying
needs better development.
so you like going late go I think second, I ain't gonna say second. I think third through fifth round is like if you drafted in that, you have a good chance of going to a team
Okay,
to where even as you sit, you're going to develop.
the Jets, man. I'm trying to tell you, like a team like the Jets would be a good fit because you get to sit behind one of the best at least for 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Whether Aaron Rodgers and the Jets perform great or not, you know what kind of knowledge you're gonna learn from this guy. I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, I'm off Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? But as a player, you can't deny what he's done. So I mean, shoot, take that tutelage. Whatever young quarterback gets that privilege to take that tutelage from Aaron Rodgers, I would take it. You see what it's done for Jordan Love. It's done wonders for Jordan Love. Trust me. Take that year or two or whatever you got to do to learn from Aaron Rodgers. Like I think the Jets should get a quarterback in one of those rounds. Like in one round.
Next quarterback, Michael Pratt Sr. from Tulane. We know what Tulane did over the course of the last 2 years, knocking off the number one draft pick in a bowl game, and then going the next year and being pretty productive. Where do you think Michael Pratt, did he make it do enough to even be drafted?
I think he will be drafted, but I think it'll be he might not get drafted like to the fifth round. You know what I mean? Like he might not get drafted to the fifth round, but you coming off the board. Yeah, you coming off the board. But I think like I said, whatever team, like you gonna end up on a decent team, and you get to sit and you get to learn from probably a vet. Like whatever team you go to, you get to learn from a vet. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if he went and played. Like the Cardinals need a backup quarterback, so I can see them picking a quarterback late, in the draft.
Joe Milton III, senior quarterback from Tennessee.
I liked his game and some of the games he played. I've seen him play, but yeah, that's a tough one. But I'm gonna put him there somewhere, late rounds, man, fifth or sixth round. You know what I'm saying? Fifth or sixth round somewhere in there.
I give him 6th to 6th round, potentially. Coming from saying what he did, he was another one of those quarterbacks that came out that that's the second of two quarterbacks out of Tennessee, as the other last year's quarterback got drafted last year. So maybe he comes to produce. I know he had an injury, so we'll see how that ends up playing out. Now, these might be the late round quarterbacks or even unrestricted free agents as we sit up and go to. I think it's like 7 of them. The first one that's up on the docket, BYU senior quarterback Kedon Slovis. Now, take in consideration, Kedon Slovis was he took USC to a bowl game in 2019, was very productive, but of course, end up having to vacate and leave due to the fact of new coaches coming in and they're going a different route. Of course, that's how Caleb Williams came into fruition. Keaton Slovis, does he get drafted or is he undrafted free agent?
I think he might be an undrafted free agent, even though his name sounds like he would be somebody that one of the Harbaugh brothers would take. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he sound perfect for Jim Harbaugh playing behind Herbert. You know what I'm saying? Playing behind Herbert, that sounds. Or um, Denver, man, they need a quarterback. So I can see, you know what I'm saying? I can see him playing behind somebody at Denver because we didn't mention Denver, but they need a quarterback. So I can see like them taking. I can see Denver taking 2 quarterbacks in the draft.
Jordan Travis, Florida State senior.
Now, that young man was good. You know, that young man was good until he got injured. So, but I see him. I see him getting picked. Maybe, maybe you guys pick him up. Seth Fran. I can see Seth Fran. Maybe the Eagles pick him up, but it'll be late round. Like you know what I'm saying. He'll be a cash in about a 6th-round pick.
I think he's undrafted free agent, and it's unfortunate for those sites where you look at a player that everyone else probably sees at like, okay, he has a talent, but we're just not willing to pull the trigger on him. And which honestly, I believe that Michael Penix is one of those type of players as well, but his value is too great to let him fall and slip.
Man, come on, man. We seen crazier things in the draft, man. Come on, man. Y'all picked Trey Lance. I'm just saying. Y'all picked Trey Lance with the 5th pick. I'm just saying. So crazier things have happened. I'm just, like when you look at it, crazier things have happened.
Devin Leary, Kentucky, senior.
Undrafted.
Austin Reed, West Kentucky, senior.
Yeah, another undrafted player, man. I don't, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's too much of a gamble right now when there's so many better quarterbacks.
Yeah. Sam Hartman, Notre Dame.
Now I always solidly watch the Irish and root for the Irish here and there. I didn't see enough where, yeah. Ooh,
Undrafted.
undrafted.
Jake Plummer, Louisville, senior.
Oh, he drafted. But I think he gonna go the last round. Ain't it 7 rounds? I think he going 7. Like
7th round.
He'll be a 7th-round pick. You know what? He would be a pick that if the great Bill Belichick was still in New England, he would probably pick him in the 7th round. You know what I'm saying?
Carter Bradley from South Alabama, senior.
Undrafted.
Ben Bryant, Northwestern, senior.
I saw a couple of those games because you watch the Big Ten out here, in Iowa or whatever.
Hey, Colorado.
Yeah, undrafted. I don't see him being
Undrafted. Davius Richard, North Carolina Central, senior.
I think he'll be drafted, and this is why.
Okay.
This is why. You could probably convince him to be a hybrid player in the interim, right? Got more skills than you could think it could play probably another position if willing to play another position. I'm not saying you got to stop being a quarterback, but I'm saying you might want to look at like a Taysom Hill role just to get on or just to get burned.
He's a 2-time Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference Offensive Player of the Year. He was an Offensive Player of the Year in the HBCU Legacy Bowl. So 6'2", 225 pounds. He, like you said, he probably brings something to the table. Possibly one of those players that will be able to perform differently, or even like you said, etch out a different role, and where he, saying, El Amin type or something like that. So I can agree with you. He's probably going to be a late round pick. 2 more. Gavin Hardison, UTEP, Senior.
Undrafted.
And last but not least, a name in which we haven't heard. Talia Tagovailoa.
Just because of who his brother is, you know he getting drafted, right?
You think so?
Yeah, it's a trendy league, man. That's what they do. You know they do this. you know what I'm saying? You know they do this. Did Eli Manning not get drafted? I mean, I'm just saying, baby, baby Tagovailoa will be drafted. you going in? You going in? Probably somewhere. I'm looking maybe as early as the 5th round.
Oh, that's saying something. I think he's going to be undrafted free agent. Like you said earlier, the amount
Miami might take him.
True that. You're right.
What I'm saying. Miami might take him.
A late round is like, just draft Tulia. Draft his brother. Let's go.
Yeah.
Do you think, or do you see any surprises coming up this year in the draft, or someone that's going to be picked up, or a team is going to jump up high, or someone's going to make a move that's going to be like going to reset? It's going to set the whole reset the whole draft, everyone's draft strategy.
Don't be surprised if the Giants find a way to trade up and get a QB. Don't be surprised, or take one of the QBs that we mentioned already, in the second round or something like that. But don't be surprised if the Giants end up taking a quarterback in this draft. I feel like they shouldn't, but the writing on the wall is they're gonna probably take a quarterback. They'll probably get a quarterback with one of these picks in this year's draft. Um, There's a lot for Daniel Jones, but I mean, because you're gonna count this season that he's been hurt most of it. I mean, I don't know. And you just paid him, but you can't lose. If you're the Giants, maybe it makes sense because you can't. You're gonna need a backup anyway. The Tyrod's gone, right? Tyrod gone.
Yeah, I just knew we was gonna get our hands on Tyrod, but Denver, we know they need a quarterback. Is it JJ McCarthy or Drake May?
Well, they can't all have them. It depends on which order these. I'll have to look at the order, see where the Vikings are, see where the Broncos are, just to know what the original draft orders are. Because I can see them actually going up in the draft to get a quarterback if they feel it's necessary. But I can also see them just staying where they are and let whatever quarterbacks fall to them. But feeling, I think I would say McCarthy would go to Denver just because I think he resembles more uh, stature wise, maybe a little bit bigger, but it's taller. But I think he resembles a lot of Drew Brees, right? I think Drake May is the better quarterback, but we know how we've seen what Sean all about. You know what I'm saying? We've seen how Coach Sean do over there. So yeah, I can see McCarthy being taken.
So definitely, without doubt, we have. Where is the Broncos? Don't pick till the 12th pick. So, like you said, they would have to. But in between there, I mean, the 1 to 12, which they can Chicago, which is expected to pick Caleb Williams for the most part. Washington Commanders are at 2, like you said, expected to pick Jaden Daniels. In-state pick a quarterback. At 3, the New England Patriots. I'm sure they're going to pick a quarterback after they've got rid of their quarterback. Arizona Cardinals may not be quarterback needy, so that opens up. The Los Angeles Chargers expectations is that Coach Harbaugh is not going to pick up a quarterback, especially when he has Herbert in his stable. The New York Giants. What'd you say now?
I can see the Chargers moving down out of that 5th spot. Get more, to either get more draft picks or but I can see them moving down.
Basically, them engaging Denver to see if they can get what they can get to get Denver to move up. The New York Giants, like you said, potentially could go after another quarterback. if they feel the need to. They're at 6, but they're in a good spot. That might be surprising that would surprise me if they get a quarterback, which is going to be surprise everyone else, which means definitely someone's going to have to move up. Tennessee Titans, I guess the expectation is at 7. I guess the expectations they have a quarterback of the future, which I greatly disagree with, but that's just me.
Levis is a what? Levis going to press you at the
round. At number 8, Atlanta Falcons. We know they're not going to get a quarterback as they brought in Kirk Cousins. So 8 is too early to pick up a backup unless you just don't think Kirk Cousins is going to cut it. At 9, we know that the Bears aren't going to pick up 2. The New York Jets at 10. Is there a possibility that they go ahead and jump and grab the key quarterback for the next their next quarterback, or do they wait at the value because it's 20 quarterbacks in this draft class? Do they wait to see if there's value in that? 11, we start to get back to it to where currently Sam Darnold is the starting quarterback. Can they safely, I guess, determine on what's going on at that particular time? They can determine, we need to move up to get a JJ McCarthy, a Michael Penix, or a Drake May. But by that time, at least 2 of those quarterbacks may still be there because the teams that we mentioned before aren't likely to take a quarterback at that particular time. And then, of course, Denver. So Denver is 12, Minnesota is 11. Potentially JJ McCarthy or Sam Drake may be there. I don't know.
Okay, so here's a scenario, right?
And Vegas is 13, so they might jump up.
So here's a scenario. Even though the Vikings have said they ain't looking to make those kinds of moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I can see the Vikings say, "Hey, Harbaugh, we want that 5th spot. What you want in return?" And he's like, "Hey, give me Justin Jefferson." You know what I'm saying? I'll give you that pick plus all my future picks. I'm just saying that could be a good scenario right there. Like
another potential quarterback need team at number 14. So 11, 12, 13, 14 could be quarterback need teams. 14 is the New Orleans Saints. So those are potentials, I guess, to jump up.
Or hey, look here, we gonna make a trade right now. New Orleans, from New Orleans, you move up. Who you said had the 6? Did you say the Giants?
The Giants are at 6.
Oh, the Giants taking a quarter, but I think the Giants might take a quarterback in the later round. But if the Giants are willing to trade, they pick. If you the Saints, you make a trade with them and you trade Olave or you trade Olave or Kamara or the Giants need a running back now. Wait, you get rid of some pieces and you go and get you a franchise quarterback. Like you had a franchise quarterback, and since he's left, you struggled at the quarterback position. So yeah, you want to lock that down and give the Who Dat Nation something to be happy about. Make that move, trade up to the 6th spot, and then get you. I would take Penix Jr. in that spot if I'm them. But
I think Penix is probably go to. But yeah, if they move up, I don't think Penix makes it to the 5th. Looking at these teams, I don't think Penix makes it past 15. At number 15 is the Colts. Of course, we know they don't need anything. They're probably set at the quarterback with Anthony Richardson as well as oh no, Minshew's gone, right? Where did Minshew go? Where did Minshew go?
Minshew went to I forgot where he went, but I know Minshew's gone. I forgot just that fast where Minshew went.
He went somewhere that of value where he could push somebody.
Yeah, I know. I just can't remember where Minshew went.
I see. At number 16, the Seattle Seahawks. At 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars. We already know what the quarterback room looks like there because currently they have Trevor Lawrence and the aforementioned Mac Jones that's there. At 18, the Cincinnati Bengals. 19, the Los Angeles Rams. At 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
If you're the Rams, you might want to entertain a quarterback because Matthew Stafford with the injuries and getting up there in age, you might want to get somebody solid in the build. Somebody solid in the building.
At
I don't think you
number
break your neck for one.
Okay, Minshew's in LA. I thought so. Yeah, that might be. I mean, he's in Las Vegas,
Right, Vegas.
so maybe
That's why I
maybe
forgot.
Vegas can take a little chill on who they get. But like I said, Rams at 19. At number 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have a pretty good quarterback room, so they're not going to be looking to probably jump up unless they're going after another type player. The Miami Dolphins at 21. At 22, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Vikings pick again at 23. The Cowboys, your beloved Cowboys, at 24.
We are not taking a quarterback. We're not
Yeah.
getting in that. Like, you already got Trey Lance. You don't need. I don't. And you got Cooper Rush. So I don't think we need any more quarterbacks unless we just gonna say, "Oh, Dak, we ain't gonna pay you and we're gonna waive you or something." But I don't see that happening. So
The Green Bay Packers at 25. Tampa at 26. The Cardinals again at 27. The Bills at 28. The Detroit Lions at 29. At 30, the Baltimore Ravens. 31, the San Francisco 49ers. And 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. Which that actually should be reversed, but I'm not going to go into that anyway.
can't reverse that. Can't reverse that.
But yeah, so that is the first round.
Did we say better luck next year? On reversing that. No, look. So we talking the draft, right? And hopefully the next show I'm on, man, we'll talk a little bit more about some of the skill positions and these offensive linemen, right? Like teams are dying for offensive linemen, and I don't think offensive linemen a lot of times get light, even though they sneakily go sometimes real high in draft. You know what I mean? And I think it's gonna be quite a few in this year's draft, man. It's a lot of teams that need um, offensive linemen, like people to block, man. Like it's a lot of teams that need that right now. The Bengals need to address it. Um, the Bears need it. The Carolina Panthers. I mean, the list goes on. It's like Atlanta could use some work. It's a lot of teams that could use some work. You know, all these quarterbacks. What I'm saying is that you can never have too many offensive linemen because all these quarterbacks ain't getting hurt for no reason. Ain't getting hurt for no reason. If you the Jets, your tenth pick is an offensive lineman. If not, what are you doing? You better not get nobody on defense, Salah. You don't need nobody on defense. You better start working on that offense.
So of course, and the one other thing, the players in the NFL have been in the news lately for various things in reference to, I guess you could say, criminal acts. Of course, we know Rasheen Rice, and with the speeding, the accident on the highway, fleeing the scene, and all that type of stuff, turned himself in. Zay Flowers had a situation, domestic violence, in which has been found insufficient evidence in that point. So, yeah. So it all this right being said, and if you go even back, of course, we know we lost O.J. Simpson last week, in which he was another one. He has probably been one of the more high priority type of players that was involved in some found.
Retired Suggs. Man, come on, man. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Drive-through.
If you go back, Ray Lewis, Ray Caruth, you know what I'm saying? It's been.
Suggs, man, how you retire? Like, what you doing with your retirement?
I implore. I wonder, like, when you get to, I mean, people are going to be people, and it's like this. It's not to say that because you're a athlete and you make X amount of money that you steer clear of these issues and problems, because it's human nature in some of these problems, or the decision. Basically, it's the decision. What's human nature is the decision making process, and sometimes it can be astray. So
I bet you whoever that was won't mess up another food order. if not, just get out of that business. Just
I
saying.
want in those situations. I'm very sure some of those times the situations aren't where they're alone, but in the ones in which their mans is with them or their people are with them. Do you think they look to them or hear them or listen to reasoning from their friends and stuff like that?
When we were kids, did we do the same thing? Like you know, like when you get some dudes together, you know how it is sometimes. When you put, especially young, the immaturity, even old, the maturity level seems to dip. Uh, Same thing when you trying to show off. Same thing when dudes try to show off for a beautiful significant other too, or you know what I'm saying, or you try to put your game down. You know, we tend, you know how men are, man. We tend to be a little crazy. I don't know if it's the testosterone or what. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying, like you all of a sudden become a daredevil with certain friends, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like you see those, you remember those sitcoms and stuff, man? Like remember, remember Martin and them playing against the Olympic team, the women
Yeah.
Olympic team. Remember that? Like, what a crazy move. Remember Martin Friends talked him into getting beat up by what's his name, Tommy Hearns?
Yes. He's lumped up. So in any case, we greatly appreciate y'all tapping in with us this morning. And look forward to this Sunday. What we're going to be doing is going to be making our debut on the Northeast Streaming Sports Network, a specific show in which we be able to see exclusively on even their Roku channel or via tapping in via the First Formation YouTube channel, in which that's how you interact. The show is going to have some type of interaction, so please be sure to tap in. Of course, that time at 3:00 Central Standard Time. 3:00 Central Standard Time, in which you'll be able to see it on our social medias where we show the link. So be sure to tap in and check us out as we do that. The show is going to be a little bit different, but I'm very sure y'all like it. Before we get out of here, Coach, any last words?
I hope some good games tonight and tomorrow. You know, like going into the weekend as the playoffs get ready to kick off. Let's see some exciting basketball. Hopefully, the injuries stay to a minimum so we can see some of what these young stars got on the game. Um, and everybody, man, happy Fridays.
Of course, y'all enjoy your Friday. We up out of here. We'll see y'all Monday. Peace.